Your mom and dad. Your mom and dad. Your mom and dad. Your mom and dad.
Well, welcome home, family. It's your mom and dad.
Oh, wow. I was going to say, you like flew through it. You didn't allow me to jump in. And I was like, what is happening?
Dad. Evan,
It's your
what?
Mom and dad here for you. We just love me. I gotta say, man.
That was a little.
Okay,
like,
I made up
you
some.
definitely made up a little bit of melodic choices.
Yeah.
Hey, Evan, what in the Wicked sponsored promo world did we just watch?
I mean, you guys, definitely not a subtle ad.
You mean it wasn't subtle when Jesse Palmer came over the loudspeaker even after the date portion and was like, Marcus and Jenn, look to the western sky.
Oh my God. Well, that's a whole nother moment, but like, God, it's like
This was his time. I mean, he was in that green velvet jacket. He was pulling the rope open to reveal the yellow brick road. And he was like, and here we go. He was living a Willy Wonka-ish type fantasy. I mean,
Jesse really pulls in. He has two different personalities. And one is the like, I'm kind of in control.
Yeah.
So we're not doing an ad. This isn't a corporate thing. And like,
right.
Hey, what's up, guys? And he's a little more relaxed generally. And he's a little more like.
Speaks French.
Yeah, exactly. And so a lot of times he's like, hey, guys, what's up? So I'm really excited. We're going to go do this thing. Or, hey, Jenn, the big reason why they got rid of the food was because of me. And then he's got corporate Jesse. Corporate Jesse is like Vegas. He's just immediately it's like, hello, guys. Welcome to the Emerald City. Like he turns into like a boxing announcer. Like his voice becomes a lot more and then his eyes become more AI and everything becomes a little bit more like
and his smile gets
animatronic.
Bigger and bigger.
It's a little like forced. You know what I mean?
almost feel like his teeth even get whiter
Everything
and whiter.
just gets more like
before it's a corporate ad, they throw on some whitening strips and he's just like
and he's a lot more like, welcome to the Wicked ad. Yeah. That was, I mean, to be honest, my biggest, like, I like, I see what they were trying to do. My biggest problem.
I mean, I love Wicked.
My biggest problem was how scripted the guests were.
Oh my gosh.
Like there's so many like, I have to say this, and this, instead of like, hey, what's up, guys? Oh my gosh, I'm excited. Do you guys love Wicked? I love Wicked too.
Everyone having to
it's
read
just like,
off
guys, just like that. Just like Wicked, this happened, and I also am like that. And welcome to the Yellow Brick Road. Like it was very just like.
I had a few issues, including that with it, because I am a Wicked head.
And as a Wicked fan, it's it's theirs to you know what I mean. Like you already are accepting of this.
I'm already so excited for the movie. I love everything about it.
Yeah.
But before I explain some of my issues, I do have to tell you there was a moment when I was watching this where I don't think I've ever laughed harder in like a year.
Yeah.
Because I was sitting watching it and our daughter Ember, we weren't watching it together. Ember was sitting next to me crafting, not paying attention to the show at all. But out of the corner of her ear, all she hears, I guess, is Jesse Palmer say, "Magical journey, just like Wicked." And the moment Wicked came out of his mouth, our musical theater daughter jumps up on the couch, throws her craft, points a finger into the sky, and just full volume goes, "And if you dare to find me, look to the western skies." And it was just
it's like
I lost my mind. She was full deep in like weaving in this craft, and it goes just flying in the air. She hits an Elphaba moment and then just goes and sits right back down.
Nothing could be more Ember in the world than not even knowing what's going on, but hearing the word.
She just heard the word Wicked,
being like,
and it was
now's the time for me.
Full theater. But listen, as a theater family, a full theater family, I was thrilled with the idea of a Wicked themed date. My problem was, number one, what you were saying with the scripting of it all. No shade, Kelsey and Daisy, but the whole scripted moment of them in the pink and the green outfit, and then Daisy being like, just like Glinda and Elphaba, Kelsey and I found an unexpected friendship. And I'm like, huh? What do you mean unexpected friendship? Like, I guess you were dating the same guy, but like that
were you
happens
guys
every
behind the
season.
scenes, like brutal enemies. Like, were there like?
I'm like, was like Daisy just being so mean behind the scenes to Kelsey? Like, where are the Galinda and Elphaba parallels?
Well, they should have had Maria and Sydney.
Now, Evan,
because that would have been legit.
There you go.
That would have been perfect.
You have it right there.
And they should have put Maria in like the witch hat. You know what I mean? Like they should have dressed them up more.
Full.
I wish they would have done like if you're gonna do the ad,
go
over the
full
top.
throttle. Go full throttle.
But don't try to kind of convince us that like this is. It's like go full throttle and give me actual enemies from the show.
Give me mortal enemies.
Give me real enemies. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want this like fake enemy stuff.
But so there was that part.
Yeah.
Also, whatever this box situation was.
Are there boxes
Evan,
of
no.
options?
Evan, no. Okay. It was just like opposites, I guess, like Glinda and Elphaba, but they're picking sweet and spicy. I'm like, where is the flash mob? Where is the uptight choreographer making Jenn and Marcus learn a full routine from Wicked, and then they got to go on stage and perform it with like the Broadway troupe? I want to see that.
I would have
if
loved
we're doing
to have
a
seen
Wicked ad.
the actual stars of the show.
I mean, there's no way that they can afford Ariana and Cynthia Erivo.
But you would have gotten the Broadway people to come out and do a thing.
Also very expensive.
Whatever.
But but I guess speaking of Broadway, there are so many actors who probably would have been so down to flash mob it up, to do like a scene in the square, not this yellow brick road box situation.
Also, they didn't shut down the street. So like they put this in the middle of the street and people are like shopping. So like it's like weird. It's like it's giving like Hollywood Locked.
Yeah.
So it's like they open up the doors, and then there are the thing, and they're shooting this, and then they like pan to the left, and there's just like some lady like just with bags in her hand, kind of going like, "Who are these people?
Watching
and what
Jenn
are they
and
doing?"
Marcus roll around on pink pillows.
Yeah, like it was really strange just to be like in the middle of a general strip mall while people are like going out of a like I don't know what would be like a store like Sonoma, like a buying a pot, and then they're just like watching these people make out. Like it was very strange.
I mean, Bachelorette's like we got to pocket the money that Wicked the film has provided.
Are like commercials just paying a lot less these days? So the fact that they have to make an entire episode a commercial.
I mean, but it's Wicked. It's iconic. That's why
it's iconic.
That's
but
why
it's
I'm
just,
like, I get it. I love the bones of it.
The bones.
When Jesse popped out of that trolley in the green jacket, I was here.
But
I was like,
no. I knew we weren't good because he turned into corporate Jesse. If he would have been like, guys, you like my jacket? I love Wicked. But he's like, you guys, welcome to Wicked. You know what I mean? You're like, oh, here we go. Because he did the same thing with the KFC. You know what I mean? All of a sudden, it's like, guys,
he kind of crushed the KFC ad though. Once he was floating on.
But they do this hilarious thing, which I think is so funny, where it's like they then ask the leads and the participants to talk about how much they love the product. Yeah. So then it's like Jenn's on there going, well, my favorite thing about Wicked is how they have to get through adversity. Like she's like, I don't know, I've never even seen it. Like it's very funny how they make them have an opinion on it. It's really great.
My other final problem was, listen, sorry Marcus, but I just don't get musical theater from Marcus.
Probably the worst guy to bring on this date.
I'm just like, he doesn't give me musical theater.
Him waiting in line for this movie.
No. And so I'm like, I could have imagined maybe Spencer eating it up. I'm like, give it to someone who is a fan,
has that energy,
and is like skipping down the yellow brick road and is just like, one short day in the M. I would have loved to see one of the men let their musical theater freak shine, and all of a sudden we got a nice box step going on.
Marcus was like, I thought this one-on-one was going to be a good thing. I'll be honest with you. I could see this is a setup. Okay, got it.
But even this is my closing thought before we take a quick pause. Even with the radical cringe that was everything in which way they handled this date with the boxes and the scripted lines and it not feeling like Wicked but kind of looking like Wicked.
Yeah, like they just said Wicked, but if no one would have said Wicked, you'd have no idea.
Yeah.
That it was a Wicked date.
Even with all of that, and even with me being like, I don't think it should have been Marcus on this date.
Yeah.
Even with that song Defying Gravity And Cynthia Erivo's vocals have such a chokehold on me, Evan, that when they went up in that hot air balloon, but of course they need to continue to put Jenn in the air. When they went in that hot air balloon, and even later during the fireworks, when you hear her just, and you hear the music, tears in my eyes.
Right. That's
the level of chokehold that Wicked has upon me. That through the cringe of this, I was like, at the very end, I'm like, God damn it, they got me. They still got me with a few of those notes. I was done for. And I was literally tears in my eyes. Now, I will tell you what did work with this promo is that as soon as I was done watching this episode, I went straight to rewatch the Wicked trailer. So I guess they did it.
You're a real corporate sucker.
I know. What can I say? What can I say? But anywho, we got to take a quick pause before we dive into this episode because I have to tell you, family, this might have been one of my most favorite episodes of all time because of the Sam portion.
It was truly, on the producer end, some of the best work we've seen in a long time in regards to like them knowing what was going to be the ultimate downfall. Like they knew how to get him. They had spent enough time talking to him to being like, we know how to get him, put him on the radio.
It was grade A. I was so thrilled with every moment of the same. It was so phenomenal. Yeah. And then of course we also have to talk about our new Bachelor.
Yes.
But first, a quick pause. Family. So we are coming up on Fantasy Suites here soon, which is so wild. Like Zach Shalcross likes to call Fantasy Suites Sex Week, right? And speaking of sex, if I am being fully transparent, in recent years, as I'm getting older, my sex drive has gone down some, and I personally was missing that. I wanted to pump it up. Well, let me tell you, this next sponsor has legitimately made a huge difference in my life. This podcast is sponsored by Mix Hers. From your first period to your first hot flash, Mix Hers is a nutritional supplement company that supports your health every step of the way. And here's the thing. If desired, every woman deserves to feel pleasure with their partner or themselves. Mix Hers crafted an all-natural solution called Mix Hers Libido to support sex drive hormones and increase sensitivity and sensation. I actually saw someone talking about Mix Hers Libido online a few months back, and I ordered some because I'd been feeling the way that I was feeling. So I ordered some of the Mix Hers Libido, and I started using it a few months ago, and I have to tell you, I am absolutely enjoying the results, okay? I am seeing a shift in the effect that I was desiring, so thank you so much, Mix Hers.
Mix Hers started in 2019 when CEO Jess Toulson had an unsuccessful search for postpartum period relief. After a ton of visits to the doctor and various medications, she turned to holistic health practitioner Cody Sanders, who created Mix Hers' first supplement to help balance hormones naturally. And all Mix Hers products are produced with 100% natural ingredients. They don't use any artificial flavors, colors, or added preservatives. And all of their products are gluten-free.
And in addition to Libido, Mix Hers has 14 additional products to support wellness, from pre- and postnatal supplements to menopause support that balances hormones and more. Not sure which Mix Hers drink is right for you? Take their quiz to ensure you get matched with their products designed for your unique wellness goals. And by the way, they're actually delicious. They have a bunch of great flavors, and I actually very much enjoy drinking them. So that's just an added plus. Now is the time to try Mix Hers. Head to mixhers.com/momdad and use promo code MOMDAD at checkout for an additional 10% off your order. Mix Hers rarely gives discounts, so 10% is the best offer that you'll find. Remember to use our promo code MOMDAD for an additional 10% off. That's mixhers.com/momdad, promo code MOMDAD. Again, I'm telling you that Mix Hers Libido, I am feeling good and I am grateful. So thank you, Mix Hers. Okay, so should we just talk about our new Bachelor here before we officially dive in?
Yes, of course, yeah.
So family, I don't know if this is considered, I mean, it's out there now. I don't know if it's a spoiler, but it wasn't like widely announced. So if you don't want to know yet, you can skip this part. But last night, we found out via Bachelor Instagram, I believe, and then some online posts that our new Bachelor is Grant from this season.
Yes.
so happy. I know that we had talked about like the idea of like, I don't know if anybody from this season could be Bachelor.
Yeah.
And I just assumed that Grant was going to win this. So I wasn't even thinking about Grant, because when I see these men and from day one been a Grant stan, I was like, but of course he'll be the choice in the end. Which is why, number one, when we came to the end of this episode and she eliminated him, I was screaming, how and why?
Definitely like,
how and why?
I didn't really, you know what?
I don't get it.
It was one of those things like, it wasn't a, now that I'm like looking back, I go, I shouldn't have been completely shocked, because I did kind of sense a little bit like she had the hots for him, but maybe it was definitely obviously a Jonathan versus Grant scenario. Like those were the two that were like, I felt like Devin, Sam, if whatever, we'll get into it, but if it wouldn't have, if the Sam stuff wouldn't have happened, you know, and then,
Marcus.
That
was a shock to me.
That was a shocker too. But
I'm
medium. That was medium. You know what though?
Thrown off,
you know
honey
what?
bunnies.
Yeah. If to me, if it would have come down to Jonathan and Grant, I could have understood it. I could have been like, okay, she's been really kind of developing feelings for Jonathan. I get that.
Yeah.
What's his name though? Now I'm blanking. Oh my gosh.
Spencer?
No. Oh my gosh, Mr. pulled up in the nice car. I'm like spacing.
Oh, Jeremy.
That was to me the number one mind blower.
Yeah, blew my mind. I don't know if we've ever
Grant
seen
getting eliminated is less shocking to me than him staying.
Than Jeremy staying.
Then Jeremy staying. I know. It's like sorry. The names.
Sorry. Together a puzzle piece.
Jeremy staying.
It's like an escape room.
Yeah. Sorry.
It's
Jeremy staying is far more shocking to me than Grant leaving, I guess.
Yes, but
you know what I mean? Like the fact that he took a slot.
But the combo of that is shocking to me.
Yes.
The fact that Jeremy took a slot that I would have assumed Grant, the fact that Marcus got a rose and not Grant. Like, I know Devin and her, and she even said in the episode, she told Devin that she was falling in love with him. So I was like, okay, that's locked. But Grant.
No, you're absolutely
even
right.
When they had their sit down one-on-one and he was like, he told her, I'm falling for you. And she was like, I know. And he was the guy that she confidently was like, I know you're being real with me. I know that you are not like Sam over here. I know that you mean what you say about the fact that you're falling in love with me. And I'm like, it's Grant. It's Grant. Everything about Grant is just so fabulous. So I was devastated. And but of course,
it doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. But of course, Grant had like a gorgeously gracious exit. Even after declaring his feelings, he wasn't.
No, he was just like, it's been a pleasure meeting you.
He's just everything to me.
He's the perfect Bachelor.
So everybody, I am thrilled to the tips of my toes. Now, I was seeing online people were like, why did they announce him this soon? Also not in a way where it's like, hey, you know, maybe during the Men Tell All, have him come out and have a big announcement.
Did they announce it, or was this like found out?
They did announce it.
Wow.
But it was just like very quiet and subtle, and now they're going to ramp up into it, I guess, and probably talk with him during the Men Tell All, I would imagine. But I was like, oh my God, you guys, give Grant the fanfare he deserves. But I saw Rob Mills post on Twitter and said that they wanted to put it out as soon as Grant was eliminated so that people knew he was the Bachelor, so that they could try to get casted for his season. Which
because
I love.
Will be a line out the door.
So I'm actually living for the fact that they announced it this early, so people go in knowing that Grant is the Bachelor, because it's going to be
a line out the door.
It will be a line out the door. This season is going to be so messy, Evan, because he's
everyone's type. You know what I mean? Like you can kind of look back on all the leads and kind of go, oh yeah, I could see, you know, like some people's type. Yeah, that's the type. You know, even just like Zach, you're like, okay, yeah. Look at me, like you're just kind of like, not really a lot of people's type, maybe, but some people might like it. I'm just being honest.
I'm not your type.
You know what I'm saying? Like MLM Lord's not quite, but I'm just saying, like Grant is one of those guys where if you take a footage of him or a picture and just show all your friends, They're all going to be like, yep, I'm down.
He's so attractive, but he also has, and I wish we would have gotten to see more of him, and I can't wait that now he's our bachelor, but everything about him was green flags. The way he handled all the men this season, the way that he interacted with Jenn, always made sure she was comfortable, asked her so many questions. Oh my God, he was the one guy who asked her so many questions about herself, not just about him.
Yes.
And he's also 30, which is on the older side. We've all had these younger bachelors. I'm like, everybody,
it's gonna
this is going to be a line out the door. And because of that, it's going to be messy because people are going to want to marry Grant.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying to you, family, is let's go, girls. Sign up. Family, everybody sign up.
Sign up.
Okay? I'm sorry. You know, I would if I could, but I am in love and married.
I'm kind of a bit of a Grant myself.
I mean, you are love bug.
I appreciate that.
But okay, everybody go sign up.
Yeah.
Get the family in there. This is a Bachelor where I'm like, yes, please go to him. And we had Joey last season too, and he was amazing.
Yeah.
So I'm like, 2 great Bachelors in a row.
Yeah.
I'm really happy about it.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I mean, he's an Adonis, and he's kind, and he's sweet, and he's caring. I mean, it's kind of like best of all the worlds. Yeah, a 6'5", 30-year-old sweet guy who's a model. I mean, it's like
ex-basketball player.
It's gonna be a problem.
I know.
He's a quadruple threat. You know what I mean? Like,
I know.
It's gonna be wild.
I cannot wait. So, anywho, so excited to recap that. I'm assuming it starts at the top of the year in January.
Yeah.
But anywho, it really took me on a roller coaster because when I tell you I was devastated at the end of this, because I was like, this was the final person to me. Now I don't even know how to feel at all.
Yeah, I was a little bit like, when it happened, I thought, oh, okay, she chose Jonathan over Grant. Okay, maybe they're a little close. And then I kind of like thought about it more and I was like, wait, Marcus and Jeremy are like, how did he lose to all like what happened?
I truly felt a deep devastation because I was convinced I'm like, it has to be Grant in the end. And then I just was like sitting with that. Like, I guess I'm rooting for like maybe like Jonathan or maybe,
and if
maybe
I'm being
Jeremy,
honest,
but
this isn't talking shit on Marcus at all. But at least with Jeremy, in the last couple of episodes, they've had laughs together. They've had moments where you see it start to rise a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, I never saw him coming at all. I didn't think he was going to last a quarter the way he did. Jeremy,
I feel all over the place with Jeremy.
But Marcus, it's like they never laugh together. All they do is have serious conversations that are not like
about them
love.
Struggling,
it's just
opening
about
up.
like trauma. And so you know what I mean? It's like I'm not seeing any of the like playful funness at all. Like, if anything, there was like her saying that like she's concerned about him being too slow. Maybe he's like, I move slow, and she's like, I move fast. That's kind of weird. Like, I'm not seeing how he beats out multiple guys.
I know, and I also too, I feel like I'm seeing people say that they think that they have chemistry, but I guess I'm just not seeing it.
I'm not seeing it.
So, anywho, I was just when I heard that, I was like, no.
Is there a world where the show wants him around longer?
Well,
like, is that, you know what I'm saying?
Okay, let's just get into Marcus's date and talk about this but just a final moment. I was like, talk about taking me on a ride. I was so devastated about Grant leaving, and I was so upset about it. But now I am rejoicing because we get more Grant.
Yes,
so
it's gonna be fun.
You know. Anywho, okay, but let's just get into Marcus's one-on-one date. He gets a second one-on-one date. At this point, Jeremy hasn't even had one. Which, if you're Jeremy, you're absolutely panicking. Like, now he's getting a second one-on-one at this point, and I haven't even gotten a little more of a moment.
Yeah.
Pretty wild. So Marcus gets the second one-on-one date, and of course, we've already discussed the wicked of it all, and they go through the yellow brick road, and they see Daisy, and they see Kelsey, and then we see Charity, which, by the way, Jenn had a sweet moment with Charity at the beginning of this. And we hear that Charity, the way that she like handled the men is that she had like note cards about different things about them. And I'm like, I wish I was so organized.
Sam should have got some note cards out about the one person he was there for.
And like, Sam, take a note from Charity, start writing note cards about Jenn, put them everywhere. Yeah. And then we saw Trista. So it was just Bachelor royalty just lining up for this.
They really forced it all into one episode. They're like, let's bring them all out. They really crammed it in. Who's in Seattle this time? They're like, are there all 7 of them are here? All right, let's figure this out, guys.
Seriously. But this was another example kind of what you just were saying about how is there a world that the show really wants us there for Marcus?
Yeah.
That I believe we saw that he got the first limo exit and then he got the first date. And in this, then he gets the second one-on-one date. And this episode becomes extremely personalized to him at the end where they're popping the Glinda bubbles and he's got a photo of his sister and then a special message from his sister and he starts crying. And then Jenn gets that really sweet letter from her mom as well. And then they put them in a baseball field and he's getting the full works, right?
Yeah.
Which makes me really think that the show really wanted him to be the Bachelor. So when they were doing this whole thing, unless he's her final choice and they're trying to, just show us their romance together, but the way in which they're crafting the dates really focused and specialized for him before she's made her final pick make me think that the show really wanted him to be the Bachelor. And I'm wondering if because I don't know if I don't feel like I've heard a lot of people being like, oh my God, I love Marcus.
Yeah.
Maybe they didn't get the response and they got a way better response about Grant. And people are like, we love Grant. We have a crush on Grant. So then they did a switch up. But it seems to me like they were trying to push him as Bachelor.
It definitely does. I don't see any chemistry. Obviously they do.
Yeah, I guess.
But maybe other than physical, I'm not seeing any them laughing together, I'm just not seeing it at all. And they spend a lot of time on him. They spend a lot of time on him. Even in the group dates when they're having one-on-one time with her. Yeah. And even the preview for there was a shot where his dad's hugging him.
Oh, with the American flag.
And the American flag waving in the background. I'm like, what am I they're cinematographizing him. It's insane. It's they're doing custom shots.
Maybe there's a producer who's, a best friend of his or there's some sort of familial relation. I'm
is he about to launch a product or something? What is going on? Yeah, they really are making him they're really going after it. So I don't know what that means.
This is completely off topic, but speaking of launching a product, I just need to tell you this. You know how last week we talked about how Jesse had the weird coffee moment, and I think he's maybe launching Bigfoot Coffee because now all of a sudden he's showing up a bunch. I just need you to know that he posted on Instagram a little photo slideshow of the fact that they're now in Seattle.
Yeah.
He posted a photo of him and Jenn, and then him by himself, and then him holding a cup of coffee. Oh. Like a glamour shot.
And then a picture of his foot.
Just Easter eggs.
Everything's Easter eggs. And right next to his foot it says big.
But I know Seattle and coffee are connected, but
sure.
Also kind of random that there's just a photo of him with coffee in a slideshow about the show. I'm just saying, I think that I do think we're on.
We will work with you on this product since we came up with it, just as a heads up.
We're here for you, Jesse.
I love Bigfoot Coffee. It sounds like a real thing.
Should we just try to do it ourselves?
I think we should do it. Guys, please buy Bigfoot Coffee from us in a year, whenever we develop
I wonder how much it would cost to get his face. If we could use him as branding, how much we'd have to pay him to just use his face. Because I know he was
Bigfoot Coffee and then a picture of Jesse and everybody's what is
no
happening?
One understands, but how he was on all the avocado advertisement.
Yes.
I'm could we pay him to be, if he's not going to launch
First
Bigfoot
of all,
Coffee?
I didn't know avocados need press. You know what I mean? Don't people know about avocados? You know what I mean? You're it's makes no sense. It's you're selling a fruit or whatever. It's it's tomatoes. Tomato. Who's the face of tomatoes? You know what I mean?
Water.
Yeah, it's Christopher Walken selling, cantaloupe. And you're it's just a fruit, from the earth. You don't need this.
Remember all the
big avocado,
all the Got Milk commercials, though. Remember
but again,
how
that's a
crazy
product from an animal that's processed. This is just
avocado.
Something that grows. You know what I mean? Is there a grape guy? Is there a guy who represents it's just so weird to me. You know what I mean?
There's the raisin guy. Anyway,
yeah, exactly. I don't know. It just made me laugh thinking about who hires him? God? Who hires Jesse Palmer to be the face of avocados? I don't know, just really weird. I just don't get being the representative of a natural occurring phenomenon. Who's the spokesman for like the mountains? It's like, on behalf of the mountains, walk on us.
God.
Yeah. Who hires him? The church? God? I don't know. This is confusing to me.
Anywho, we have to take another quick pause. By the way, I just realized we're half an hour in and I have not for our YouTube viewers addressed the fact that I have very long pigtails in. And I feel like
her hair has been growing so fast.
It's so rapid. Everybody, these are cheap clip-in extensions that I have to wear a hat over it because I haven't figured out how to put them in properly and it looks bad. Also, I don't even know if my hair is blending. So if it looks horrible, sorry for the eyes of all
they look great.
The viewers on YouTube, but just thought I'd address the fact that I did
Your
my hair
has
didn't
been
just
growing the past week. Like,
I haven't just
we've
been
going to the
hiding it
doctors,
under.
It's like, yo, it's a foot a day.
No, I'm so bad at putting these clip-in extensions in that I have to wear a hat every single time. That's how bad I am.
It doesn't matter. It looks amazing.
All right, anywho, another quick pause before we keep getting into this. Family, a few weeks ago, speaking of Jesse Palmer, Jesse Palmer let us know why they don't eat during the dates on Bachelor. Him. But I want to talk to you about actually eating and eating my favorite way at home with HelloFresh. With HelloFresh, you get farm fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. You can skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit, baby. I am obsessed, and I have been for years, because you all know that I am no chef at all, but I'm actually able to make myself and my family delicious meals with HelloFresh because they make it so simple, and I just feel like an absolute pro, honestly.
Yeah. Now with back to school season happening, that means shopping, after school activities, and a lot less free time. Well, with HelloFresh, we can skip the meal planning and grocery store runs, but still get nutritious and delicious meals. They handle most of the prep too, making getting dinner on the table easier and faster than ever. And you are never bored because with a changing menu of 50 recipes to choose from each week, HelloFresh makes it easy to always find something for the whole family.
We love it so much. By the way, oh my gosh, we had their roasted veggie kale salad last night, and it's
so good.
So delicious. So delicious. And speaking of back to school season, HelloFresh's line of kid-friendly family options mean even the pickiest of eaters will be part of the Clean Plate Club, and HelloFresh's new 6 portion plans are perfect for feeding the whole family or to have leftovers for effortless lunches the next day. This morning, I packed Ember up with some of last night's HelloFresh leftovers. It's amazing. HelloFresh really does. Also, it saves you time and it saves you money, truly. And for a limited time, check this out. For a limited time, kids eat free. Go to HelloFresh.com/momdadkids to unlock this exclusive offer. 1 free kids meal per box for 2 months while subscription is active. That's free kids meals just by going to HelloFresh.com/momdadkids. HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. Also, what a deal. Delicious and what a deal. Holy smokes.
I love the promo code, if I'm going to be honest with you.
I know, Mom, Dad, Kids.
Very cute.
It's so cute. It works so perfectly. Oh my gosh. Okay, anywho. So, we were just kind of ranting about the Marcus date, I guess. But overall, so they have the day portion and it blends then into the night portion. Throughout this whole thing, like you were saying with the slow and fast moment with Marcus and Jenn, she keeps talking about how she's concerned because he's talking about how he's a slow burn. He's stuck in between like and falling in love. And she's feeling concerned that she's like, I don't know if he's opening up enough, if he's going to be able to get there. And then we get to the evening portion where he opens up about his past, which was one of the most intense things I feel like we've heard on the show about how him and his sister, the reason he's so close to his sister is that his parents were unable to take care of them. Weren't qualified parents and like dropped them off at daycare one day and just never came back. And they were going in and out of the foster care system. So intense.
Look to the western sky.
I know. I was like, oh my God, you guys.
They were like, we had this transition planned.
The most intense conversation ever.
And we did not expect them to go here, and they're like, the producer's like, what do we do? And they're like, fuck it, go. And then they're just like, well, sorry about that, Marcus, but you know what's not sad? Look to the western sky.
Genuinely, they're like, we're gonna get this man to open up, and then they decide to wrap it up with that.
It was insane.
So wild. I shouldn't even think about that. That's absolutely.
That transition, I was like, oh,
that is so. It's so typical Bachelorette. You're talking about something that's so heavy and traumatic, and then it's like, and here's the lead singer of this country band to serenade you with a "I'm gonna fall in love tonight," and you're like, oh, let's do it.
Oh my god.
But listen, my overall thoughts, and I feel like Jenn, she was very supportive and was there for Marcus and all of these things. My overall thought with Marcus is that it is clear that, like we were saying, that the show, I think, really wants him to be here and potentially was going to maybe want him to be the next Bachelor. But Marcus, to me, I mean, clearly we've heard in this episode and in the past episodes about so much of his traumatic past. And he talks about how hard it is for him to open up. And even with his past, he said in an ITM, he was like, most of my dearest friends have no idea about this with me. But yet here we are on a show where they're pushing you to open up about the stuff that you've never even talked to your closest friends about. My feeling is I just feel like I don't see how Marcus and her end up together, because I don't see how he doesn't end up leaving, because it's just too much for him. I feel like this type of show is, pushes people to expose these like deep traumatic things and be super open. And, to have him in the situation where he's like, you can clearly see, at least to me, that it's like, I don't want to, and yet they're pushing him to. I just feel like this isn't the space where it's gonna work out, because it's just it seems like he probably needs to be in a situation where, like he said, it's a slow burn in real life, let alone being on a show where it's like, open up. I just feel like even if they were to end up together, I feel like this is all too fast.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that that we are going to see him when he gets to hometowns. The reality, we've seen him break down a lot already on this show. And I feel like it's because he is like, it's like open up. And it's like, clearly he hasn't before. I feel like maybe when we get to hometowns, there's a realization of it is going to hit, and it's going to start going downhill with him and Jenn. That's my prediction.
Yeah.
But anywho.
Yeah. Can we talk about Sam now?
Let's talk about Sam now. So there's a group date with everyone minus Marcus and Jeremy, because we find out that Jeremy actually gets to have a one-on-one date, right before hometowns, right before meeting the family. In this group date, they are going to iHeartRadio Studio to go on Love on the Air Seattle, and Jason and Molly Mesnick from The Bachelor actually had one of their group dates there, and I loved that. Yeah. And they're there, everybody's there, and everybody is ready for this.
Hold on. What? I wrote this down because I wanted to remember this, because I was like, excuse me, what? The names of the radio hosts. Okay, Jubal and Bender.
That's such radio names.
I was like,
that's so Bender is such a radio name.
I was like, what?
Bender at 4 p.m. during your traffic. Bender.
It's BJ hour. Bender and Jubal. It was epic names. I was like, are those real names, stage names? But like either way, never heard of either of them. Epic.
And love.
It felt like a movie. You like when like two radio hosts from a movie.
I was also like, release the unedited tapes of this, for the love of God, please. Like release the unedited audio.
Thank God we had who is the batch, or what the
Jason and Molly?
Molly's reactions were fantastic.
I know
she had the like eye rolls and the wah, like they used her face a lot, which was awesome, because she was very, very great.
It was so good. But we see Jenn talking about Sam to all of them beforehand.
Yeah, they're like, well, who makes you butterflies? Who do you want to melt into? It's like Sam.
And it was like Sam. But at the same time, she was like, but also I do know that, a lot of our relationship has been physical and I feel like I'm not really getting to know him. But then every question they were asking her, she was like, Sam. Well, they all are sitting in this room. And they start doing a quick fire word association. They ask Grant, they're like, shower? He's like, every day. And everyone's doing a good job. Yes. All the guys were actually doing a really good job.
And it was funny though, Devin, in the beginning, he was like, we're about to do this radio thing. He goes, I know this is not going to go well for Sam. Like he knew. He was like, this is my wheelhouse. This is going to go really bad for Sam.
Which, by the way, then Devin's whole like... I got this. He's rubbing me the wrong way.
No. He's
as soon as Devin was like, I'm leaving, I was fully off. I'm just like, dude, now. Right. And then there was a moment too where he was sitting and talking with Jenn, and it was just like, I told my mom I'd never bring home a woman that I wasn't proud. And I'm like, oh God, it's just. And when she was like, I'm falling for you, he right now is high on his own supply. Yeah. I think Devin knows he is like front runner energy, and that he doesn't technically know. I don't think that he's the only one that she said that I'm falling for you, but he's cocky right now.
100%. Like remember I said, I think Sam and Devin are not that far off from each other. They just have some different skills.
Same person, different version.
Yeah, Persian.
Same person, different version.
But like, you know what I mean? Like where Sam is able to, entice you with his good looks and sexuality, Devin can entice you with his words. But like they're both very cocky about their skills, and what they feel like they bring to the table.
Totally same vibe. Well, we're doing the quickfire word association, and they get to Sam, and they say fantasy suite. And there are so many things he could have said. There was one moment where Spencer was like, Rose. He's like, me. Great. Okay.
Yes.
You could have said fantasy suite. Sam could have stolen it. Been like, me? You gonna take me there? Easy. Mm-hmm. Sam pauses and thinks about it and says aggressive. And I almost turned the show off. I was like, okay, I'm done.
He could have said ferocious if he wanted to go down that route.
Sure.
Because at least it ties into what he's obsessed with, which is ferocious love. And she had mentioned it. So at least there's like, oh, okay, I'm going to make a kind of play on the word you used. But just to say aggressive, of all the words you use, is a really weird approach.
It was very upsetting to me. And I almost turned
the TV. Not passionate.
No.
Not invigorating.
No.
Aggressive.
No. I'm telling you, I almost turned it off. I was like, I am so done.
And everyone's
I'm so done. Everyone, Molly's face. Cold. By the way, speaking of ferocious, that Jenn probably regrets saying that so much because that's the only fucking thing that Sam can say. Well, my story's like when I walked in and I heard you say ferocious love.
He loves that.
I want a reckless love. And I thought, same, main thing, same, same thing, same, ferocious, reckless.
Yes, he's got...
Just like,
wow.
Stop it.
Yeah, so that's how it starts.
That's how
like, we're on for a...
starts.
We're on for a good one now.
The guys literally have their heads, like, in their hands. And it just keeps getting worse and worse. Mm-hmm. And he cannot answer the questions to the point that the entire room of hosts are like, well, we're going to choose one person who clearly needs to get to know Jenn better to stay in the room and all the other guys can leave. And they let the other guys leave.
It was great, dude. It was whether that was producer based, whoever was the producers or Jubal and Bender, they came up with that. The fact that they knew this guy was like a wounded animal.
They saw him sweating.
Because obviously these guys are radio hosts. So they're used to kind of people being nervous probably and not being very good. And the fact that they saw him and they're like, this guy is going to be good. We got to get him alone though. We got to like put all the heat on him.
Evan, during this episode, I can't stand Sam. And I felt this way from day one.
Yeah.
But even I, who cannot stand Sam, I almost wanted to like reach into the TV and like hand him a script because I was like, for the love of God, I'm panicking watching. Like I want to like almost give you something to say. For the love of God, how can you not do this? Like be better at being manipulative.
Well,
like be better at it. It's
well,
like,
it was almost like he goes into these modes where he's like LARPing.
Oh, like LARPing.
It's like hear ye, King Arthur takes this land as his own, and he's in a park where like kids are playing, and he's like, because he turns into this like, the lines he has are like, it's like he studied 5 or 6 rom-coms from like the early 2000s, and it's just like he has them like on rotation.
He's
thinking
LARPing
that, like,
as Noah from The Notebook.
Yeah,
that's who he's LARPing.
Because she is like, describe me, and he's like, fire. Like fire as in like that's fire, or like you're full of strong, he goes, strong passion. For me, it was just kind of like, is this panic mode? This is the thing I can't figure out with Sam. And you guys let me know kind of what's happening, because this is the big mystery to me. Mm-hmm. Is he full of shit? Well, hear me out.
Well, yes.
Well, yes. Is he full of shit? Or is he so incredibly one-dimensional that it's kind of like, I just say these things and usually it works and I don't know any other, like, is he also the other love virgin where it's like, I don't know, I just say these things and sometimes they work and then I get the girl. That's my whole range.
This is my gathering. It's both.
Okay.
I think he's absolutely full of shit. And I think that was affirmed when he's sitting alone with Jenn in the room with all the other hosts. And he basically just full on, without even, no one was pushing him to say this, says, well, you're not my type.
Yeah.
When I came out of the limo, I was drawn to your energy, but you're not my type. I thought it was going to be Daisy or Maria.
Yeah.
I'm literally screaming. Okay.
He was just trying to go.
He's so full of shit.
Oh my gosh, that was crazy.
He's so full of shit that he's like, he wants to be on this show. He wants to get famous. He wants to be on the show. He wants to go to fucking paradise and meet Maria, or who I think she's now taken. But every time I look at Sam, I go, this man wants to marry Victoria Fuller. Like he is a Victoria Fuller guy.
Yes.
Okay. He wants to get on Paradise, do that. He's full of shit. He wants to be famous. Okay. The one-dimensional thing comes from, I saw him in cast bios and I said, this is the guy who in his small town is like the hottest guy there and is just, woman after woman after woman after woman his whole life and has never had to lift a finger. And so he's never even had to like learn how to have a conversation about getting to know anyone else, because he's like, I'll just move on to the next, because he cannot talk about anything except himself. It's crazy.
Yeah, it was really weird, because he would do things. She would say stuff like, what's your favorite thing about me? And he would be like, selfless, because I'm selfless.
And
it was just kind of like,
it was all back to him.
And he'd be like, what about our relationship feels strong? Ferocious, because I want a ferocious love too. And it's like, dude, it's like, this is kind of the thing that and he was starting to panic, because then he would just kind of like say these random things. For me, what was really funny about it was I felt like if you were not a doctor, okay? If you were you didn't even go to school for being a doctor at all.
Okay.
But then you went in to get interviewed to be a doctor. Uh-huh. And they were like, okay, patient 1 is coughing up blood and in and out of consciousness. What do you do? Well, the body is a mystery. And the thing about bodies, I work out all the time. And the way that you stay healthy is that you work out a lot.
Yes.
And you eat really healthy.
Yes. And
if you do that, you wouldn't be in this situation with all the blood. And so, and blood, is red when it's outside of your body. Like you're just kind of like, what? Like if I can distract this guy long enough, maybe they'll kind of forget and just say, yeah. Like he was just kind of making shit up.
And that's
like,
what I'm saying. It's full of shit, because it's like everything's back to him. She literally says, hey, but why me?
Or no,
and
my favorite was, why am I selfish? He's like,
or selfless.
Yeah, why am I selfless? Because of a ferocious love, and I'm also selfless.
And then he's like, what about me? Why me? Why me? And he's just like, let me tell you a story about me. Because he literally said, let me tell you my story.
Let me tell you my story.
She said, why do you love me? And he goes, let me tell you my story. She said, why am I selfless? Let me tell you a little bit about me. It was one of the wilder things I've ever heard in my life.
It was amazing. She goes, why me? And he goes, let me tell you a story. At first, you're not my type. I was also hoping it was someone else. But you kind of grew on me, kind of. And you're hot. And I could actually, I didn't even say that you're hot.
And you're asking me to use words to explain a feeling, but like my words can say you're not my type and I thought it was someone else, but like, what else can I say? Love is love, baby. You're like, what?
My favorite too is that the more he talked, the worse it got.
The worse.
Because there's nothing worse than you going, it's one thing to say you're not my type.
Yeah.
It's another thing to say, I was hoping it was someone else. That's
and
literally
to name
being
them
like,
specifically.
that was literally being like in a relationship with someone and them going like, hey, what's your favorite thing about me? And you're like, to be honest with you, I really am into your friend a lot more, but she was taken at the moment. So I thought, why not give this one a chance? And it kind of worked out. And you're just like, what?
Shook.
He was cooked.
Would have kicked him out immediately.
He was cooked, but he kept diving in.
I know.
He just kept going, not learning from his mistakes. I mean, guys, it was an all-time failure at the highest levels.
Highest level.
And if it wasn't for the fact that it was Sam and she was so hot for Sam.
Yeah. Oh, out immediately.
I mean, it's incredible.
Okay, I have more I need to say, but we
Yeah.
got to take another quick pause. Okay, I have many more thoughts. Family. So you know that Evan and I are not really bathroom humor type of people. You know this about us, and we don't really even go much in front of each other. I mean, you do you, but you know that's not really us. But that doesn't mean that we do not take our personal bathroom experiences very seriously. We want the best toilet experience possible and clean butts, to be honest, which is why we are massive fans and have been for years of our Tushy bidets. I mean, with our Tushy bidets, it is a precise stream of clean water cleaning you up down there, okay? Instead of using toilet paper that falls apart and smears it all around. Well, and for a limited time, our listeners get 10% off their first bidet order when you use code MOMDAD at checkout at hellotushy.com. So you don't have to have that smear situation going on that makes me get a little bit yucky in my throat, okay? Get that clean stream with your Tushy.
After we got our Tushy bidets a few years ago, I refuse to go back to TP. I'm telling you, when you are oh so clean after a bathroom trip, you have an extra pep in your step.
It's true confidence.
Absolutely.
It's true confidence.
Yes. So the Tushy attaches to your existing toilets and it easily connects to the same water source as your sink and shower. And the install is so easy. Anyone can do it under 10 minutes. And these 10 minutes will truly change your life and your butt.
And like I said, wiping with toilet paper just smears poop around, and that spreads bacteria around, causing chronic infections down there like hemorrhoids, UTIs, yeast infections, and anal fissures, of which I am very familiar as an anal fissure queen. Thank you. Thank you, Tushy. And it cuts down your TP use by 80%, saving money and your plumbing. No more clogging up toilets. It's a game changer, family. So much so that I also got their Tushy travel option to take with me when I'm not home. It is a 3-stream nozzle for a total clean, new air mesh bag, and new anti-corrosion carabiner and key ring. I want a Tushy anytime I'm using the pot. So I need a Tushy at all times. Stay shower fresh all summer long and join the 2 million butts who already switched to Tushy. For a limited time, our listeners get 10% off your first bidet order when you use code MOMDAD at checkout. That's 10% off your first bidet order at HELLOTUSHY.com with promo code MOMDAD. That's hellotushy.com, promo code MOMDAD. I am so clean right now. You know what I mean? I know we don't talk about it often, but I'm very clean.
Yes.
That's all I'm saying. Okay, so back to Sam. I just couldn't believe when truly she asked him, why am I selfless to you? And he basically ended up saying, you're selfless because the connection that we had was hot.
Oh, that was a good one. That was a good one.
You're selfless because our connection was hot. And then he leans in out of nowhere and he's like, well, you know, like for me, it's like all about physical touch like this. And grabs her face and starts kissing her. And everyone in the room gasps.
Cringes.
And they're like, this is the worst thing we've ever seen. The men in the other room were killing me. Because you kind of got more of an insight into their thoughts on Sam.
Well, they had obviously never seen him interact with her.
That's very true.
So
they
it was
hadn't
like,
seen their
okay,
alone time.
You know, it seems like Sam's kind of really in a good spot. You know, he seems to be really confident about the
She likes
connection.
him.
Let's see it. I mean, then they got to really see it for the first time, like a one-on-one moment, and that was insane. No wonder why later he's in his room by himself. Right, he knew he got cooked so hard that like none of the guys knew where he was because he hadn't shown his face since then.
My favorite.
He definitely was hiding, being like, dude, that was the most embarrassing thing ever.
My favorite part of the entire episode was when they get to the night portion after this absolute disaster. And Jenn sits down and immediately, which I love that she did, immediately was like, today you guys really made me happy, but there was one conversation that left me really unsettled, and I'm going to have to dive into that, and I'm concerned about that. She leaves, and Devin says, so, I mean, Sam, do you think she was talking about you? And he goes, could be anyone.
Could be anyone. It was like, brother, you got obliterated on live radio, and it could be anyone. It's
could be anyone. I would have lost my shit. I would have started laughing so hard. And I'm just like, could be anyone.
The verdict's out. We won't even know.
Yeah, you know what? Like, you know, we've got a great connection, so could be anyone.
There's a wanted poster with your face on it. Who do you think they want to get? I don't know. Really could be anyone. That doesn't look anything like me. I'll tell you that.
The artist's rendering was your exact sketch.
Said your name
and he's like,
on it.
Could be anybody. I don't know.
Could be any Sam. That was all time.
That was unbelievable. But that's when she has her conversations with Grant, with Devin, with all these guys, and then she gets to Sam again, and she was like, hey, something was missing today. Something I noted as well, which to me is just another demonstration, explanation of the problem in their relationship, because she had said earlier, she was like, he reminds me of my exes, right? And she brings that up in the conversation as well, that he reminds her of her exes.
Yeah.
A display of this is that when she sat down with him after that batshit interview where he said, you're not my type, and I thought it was going to be Daisy or Maria, and he couldn't answer her questions, she said to him, I don't want this to come off as badgering to you. Which to me was a display of how he makes her feel.
Interesting.
He makes her feel insecure in a very yucky way because of all of his actions. Because we see Jenn in every other setting with all the other guys.
Being like that.
She is this strong, confident woman. And yes, she's like talking about how she sometimes will put up a wall to come up a certain way, but like she's not like that with the other guys. But with him, he said all this bullshit. And yet and she's the Bachelorette, and her sit down, her first thing is, I don't want to be badgering you. It's because she gets his energy where it's like, yes, he would be the type of guy who would be like, what's with all these bullshit questions? And that's right away where I go,
stop bugging me. I'm trying to golf.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Where I was like, there you go. Okay. But he's like clearing his throat so much.
No. I literally wrote down. I wrote down like constant coughing. It was like in every movie when the guy's being like questioned. It's like he has or it's like if you were playing poker, even it's like every tell imaginable. And I just for me, I just like don't look up to the left. Like all the things they say when you're lying. Like he literally was a walking, just like everything he said, like everything you say you can't believe. My favorite though was that he had been in his room for a while, kind of waiting for something like this to happen. So he had 2 lines rehearsed.
Yes.
But he hadn't thought through them because again they were rom-com lines and they didn't apply to this.
Do you think he has them written on his arms? Like he would read like a Nicholas Sparks book and then just like write them on his arms like cheat sheet notes?
Yeah, I do think that, but I think the issue was that he didn't check the context. You know what I mean? He's using lines like that you would use if you were falling to your death. You know what I mean? Like when they're talking about, like it made no sense. Like the one who says, I was walking this fine line between falling in love and protecting my feelings. So I had to fall in love again to like figure it out. And she's going, what are you talking about? I asked you what your favorite ice cream color is, or ice cream flavor is. Ice cream color. You know what I mean? Like she's going, so what kind of ice cream do you like? And he's like, for me, love is truly a blossoming flower. And she's like, huh? Like he's not aware of what's happening.
I know. It's wild. It's absolutely wild.
The other one of my favorite was just like, so like tell me when you felt like you fell in love. He's like, everything changed after the stripping date. When you poured into my part. What? So when you shoved your ass in her face, that showed how selfless she was and how
what is poured into my part mean?
So
it makes me feel
when you
nauseous.
did this, you did a stripping outfit, or you did a stripping routine. Showed how much she pours into you. Like, dude,
not you, your part.
So it's like, I mean, this is really bad. I mean, it's really bad stuff.
But what was to
Make
me
something up.
But to me was then like just the pinnacle of absolute panic and just a corroboration again that he's absolutely full of shit is when they're in this conversation and you hear him under his breath continuously going, as she's asking him, well, but what about me? What do you know about me? Why me? Why us? I'm concerned that you don't know anything about me. He keeps under his breath continuing to say, well, I didn't want to say this yet, but, and then he bursts out after she asks him a question and he's just like, because I love you, okay?
There, I said it.
I didn't want to say it. I wanted to protect my heart, but it's because I love you, which is the most rom-com shit that's ever happened ever. It's like however many things he has read where there's the moment where...
If you say that, she'll fall for you immediately.
Which is always,
any
by the
questions
way...
will be answered. Were you cheating on me? Fine. I love you. Fine, I believe you. You were cheating on me.
I cheated on you because my feelings for you were too great and I couldn't handle them, so I had to go be with someone else. Which, by the way, is always like the thing in romantic novels, movies, all this, which always bothers me because it's always like an actually toxic love story where it's like the guy, you know, in the midst of adversity or problems in their relationship finally blurts out, "It's because I love you," in the rain, and she's crying and she's like, "Oh my God,
fine, I said it.
Never mind, all is forgiven." And he's like, it's gonna work.
Yes.
And so he declares, I love you. His love for her out of nowhere. And
As a dying chance.
And she was just like, what are you talking about? She immediately is just like, what? And she's like, wait a second, Sam. And he goes, stop. She just says his name. She goes, Sam, stop. He's like, we skipped all the little convos and we hit ferocious love. She's like, what is happening?
It's like, what are you talking about? What is ferocious love
And she's
anyways?
just like, the fact, and I love that she said this too, because she was like, the fact that you cannot back up such a bold proclamation is wild. And they continue this conversation obviously later on, but even in these moments, she kept just saying like, you have to be able to back this up. You have to be able to back this up. And his whole narrative was like, I can't put into words what love is. I just have it for you and I'm in love with you. And
that's called horniness.
I mean, that's called horniness, but it's also called manipulation.
Oh yeah, but I'm just saying, like,
degree.
You can't say one good thing about, you know, all you want to do is make out and get with him, get with her. Then it's like you're mistaking your feelings.
And
here.
it's also called manipulation to just try to stay in this game as long as possible. But I just think it's funny because, you know, we've seen and we talked about his family being online, consistently like commenting on all of like the Bachelor's posts and et cetera, being like, you know, the truth will come out, and him being like smoke and mirrors and the edit. And I'm like, listen, I said this before, editing is involved. But of course. Editing is involved. There were numerous moments during even this episode when I heard Devin talking about Sam that I could tell was Franken-bit together. I
love when they would cut in, keep the main thing.
Yes,
like they would just throw that in randomly.
And you could tell that was edited, where like when their face isn't directly looking at the camera and they're not being filmed and something else is happening and you hear their voice, that's when then Franken-biting is happening. But what I'm saying is we saw what we saw, okay?
Exactly.
At this point, I'm like, sorry, fam. Sorry, Sam fam.
Sorry, Sam
because
fam.
we saw all of the people's reactions. We heard him say what he said, even if they cut out certain parts. We definitely heard a lot during that radio interview, and then we heard him during this portion when Jen's like, please say something to me, and he's just like, I love you, and you're like, all right, everybody, I mean, I don't know what to tell you at this point. It seems pretty blaringly obvious, but go ahead and keep defending.
But I gotta say, like, iconic moment.
I mean,
like,
so
I really
iconic.
appreciate how iconic it was, because
so iconic. One of my most favorite scenes and series of scenes that I've seen in years on this show. I was so entertained.
I'm just impressed how far he got at this point.
It's
like
wild.
He never had to have one conversation about anything past making out. Like he was able to get almost to hometowns without having a conversation with her about anything.
And even at this point, she doesn't go, get out.
No.
She's
back. Do you want to give you the answer? I'll give you an answer.
She goes back to the hotel room and is like, we have something. Please, let's make this work. And we'll get into that a little bit later.
Epic.
But I mean, he stayed around. And when I tell you, I cannot wait for the Men Tell All. Because when that camera is rolling on live TV, we saw how nervous he got during a interview setting. When it is a studio audience and there is confrontation, this is about to be wild.
I can't wait for Jesse to be like, so can you now tell us one thing that you liked about her?
Oh, you know he's going to do that.
And then see if he has rehearsed in the past 6 months.
He'll definitely... Well, I shouldn't say definitely. I would assume he would have rehearsed, but
Babe, he
who
was given times and then went back to the hotel room and he still was as bad as the first time. The first 2 times.
It's going to be so annoying though, because Devin with his silver tongue is going to be like amping up the crowd and everyone's going to be like, Devin. And then he's going to be like high on his own supply, which is so annoying too. It's just, oh my gosh, it's going to be absolute chaos. But anywho, Jenn ends up walking away from that conversation at the night portion and is just like, I don't even know what to think at this point. She tells the men she's not going to give a group date rose because of course next week is hometown, so she needs to keep thinking about it. So we're left in that stress moment, and then we have Jeremy finally gets his one-on-one. But before we dive into Jeremy's one-on-one and then the Sam hotel room situation, we got to take one more quick pause. Family. Like I was saying, we've got hometowns next week. And speaking of hometowns, I took Evan to my hometown this last weekend. We went to my dad's house and had our hometown moment 18 years later, 20 years later. He hasn't known my dad for 25 years. My father's house, my father, the Cat King. And when I walked into his house, the Cat King's house, I smelled candles and cookies. I did not smell kitty litter but of course he uses pretty litter. Even in the heat, people, when smells can get smellier, no kitty litter stink with pretty litter. Pretty litter's non-clumping formula traps odor and moisture like wow. It's ultra absorbent.
Yeah, it's also lightweight, low dust, and 1 6-pound bag works for up to a month, which is so convenient. And what makes it even more convenient is that it ships right to your door, meaning you never run out. You don't have huge kitty litter bags taking up space. And even better, you don't have to lug those huge tubs from a store to your car and then into your house.
And on top of all of it, Pretty Litter gives you peace of mind because it changes color to indicate early signs of potential illnesses in your cat, like urinary tract infections, kidney issues, and more. It really is incredible. And I also always want to note the low dust factor as well, because it helps keep your house cleaner. No cute, dusty kitty footprints around the house anymore. The footprints are cute, but the cleaning part is not cute. Listen, when my dad, who is the Cat King and has tried everything, loves something for his kitties, I trust it, and he loves Pretty Litter. Pretty Litter's amazing. You have to try it. Go to prettylitter.com/momdad to save 20% on your first order and get a free cat toy. That's prettylitter.com/momdad to save 20% on your first order and get a free cat toy. prettylitter.com/momdad. Terms and conditions apply. See site for details. Okay, let's talk Jeremy's one-on-one. Also, family, I have not had long hair in so long. It is so hot. Like, how do people do long hair?
It's also 107,000 degrees outside.
I'm absolutely just drenched in sweat. So sorry. It's a highlighter. It's not my sweat, the glisten. Okay, so Jeremy finally gets his one-on-one, and they are at Seattle's public market, the oh-so-famous public market. He right away is just like, you're supposed to run and jump, right? When she walks up, which shows me Jeremy watches the show.
Yes.
I'm like, also, Jeremy, it's called a hooju, trademarked by Game of Roses.
Yeah.
But
then she didn't.
And then she slapped.
Like, oh.
He's like, oh. But he's a watcher.
I wish he would have ran and jumped.
Yeah, what's that about? Why don't let's see it in reverse sometimes, everybody. She calls him Jer Bear numerous times, which to me shows that, like, even though they haven't had a one-on-one, And she kept saying he makes her laugh the most. They have the most fun together. I'm like, clearly they've had enough moments that she feels
There's like a nickname.
Like playful with, that she's referring to him as Jer Bear, unless he asked her to call him Jer
Hate that
Bear.
name, by the way. I would hate that name. Jer Bear is either like a child or a friend. Jer Bear? I don't,
Maybe
it doesn't scream.
Maybe
hot
he
for you.
asked her, you know, when he was talking about his frat before,
Yeah.
maybe like they called him Jer
She's like,
Bear.
what do they
He's
used to
like,
call
I
you?
was known in my frat as Jer Bear.
Yeah, I really don't like it. If someone I don't know. I wouldn't like it if I was him. I'm just being honest with you. Feels friend zoney.
It does a little bit. Again, unless that was his,
You
it
never
was
know.
already
You
a
never know.
nickname. But you know, there he makes her a bouquet of flowers. They do the palm reading, where the palm reader is just like, I feel there's a potential drummer hand in front of me, and
my
he's like, I
God.
used to play drums. I knew
The producer
that was
slipped
it.
her some shit. That's crazy. He's like, I'm sensing karate black belt. And he's like, I was.
And
Like,
drummer hands.
drummer hands? Get out of here with drummer hands.
No, that's not the-
What, a couple calluses
That's
means you
not-
were a
that's
drummer,
not-
not that you were like a construction or like
That's
anything.
not called the producer slipped a note. That's called Jer Bear was like,
Yeah.
I want her to know that I used to be
Yeah.
a hot
Yeah,
drummer and that I
yeah.
used to have a black belt in
yeah, my
karate.
God, dude.
Jer Bear like under the table like gave her a hundo and also a note about like
Also,
mention
drummer
that
hands.
I'm a drummer.
First of all, being a drummer, to get drummer hands, you have to be drumming for hours every single day, like on the road. So you know, whatever's left over from your childhood drumming
she
is
wasn't
not
saying that he has drummer hands because they look at. She was just like, I feel like drummer.
These would be. I mean, that was unbelievable. Unbelievable.
You like that part.
So
But you
dumb.
know, I have to tell you, I think, so have been all over the place about Jeremy. We
Yeah,
know this. I'm
yeah.
like, for a moment, the first episode, I was like, with his like penis car comment, but then he handled conflict really well. But then he was like weird last when he was like petting her. I'm like a little all over the place with him. I do have to say on this one-on-one, I was back in my like, I like Jeremy zone.
It was a big win for him.
And I think she is the most comfy around him.
It's very interesting.
I
It's
think-
coming from left field. I'm like, whoa.
I'm like,
okay.
is this our sleeper?
I thought he was going to be gone so long ago.
Is Jeremy like the final one? I'm a little curious about it.
If that happens, that would be wild.
Because during especially like this day portion, I'm like, I feel like saw Jenn for who Jenn is the most on this date.
Yeah.
She was so playful, relaxed. They were laughing the entire time. She was ribbing him. And remember on Joey's season, she would always rib Joey. She was doing that with Jeremy.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was a comfort level that seemed really different with Jeremy than with the other guys
Yeah.
versus with sometimes the other guys, it's a little more like, here's like, you know, Bachelorette moments of
Sure.
like, so how do you feel about this part of your childhood versus this was like, and it carried on to the night portion. Like
Very comfortable.
very
Very
comfortable. And he
comfortable.
also says comfortable like you say comfortable.
How do I say comfortable?
You just changed how you say it.
I did?
Yeah,
I don't even know.
say it.
Well, now I'm like, I can't stop. I'm like so uncomfortable right now.
You say comfortable.
No, I don't.
You say comfortable.
Comfortable?
Yeah, you take out the
Oh, I hate that about
No,
me.
I love how you say it.
Comfortable.
Yeah, you say comfortable.
How do you say it?
Comfortable.
Comfortable.
Yeah. Or comfortable.
Yeah, comfortable. So comfortable. Oh, I do say it. Comfortable. Oh my God, you're right.
Say comfortable. And I
Just
noticed
like how I say across the street.
you say across to the street and you say comfortable. And I love it. And also, but I noted Jeremy during their night portion, he said comfortable. And I
Really?
go, and immediately I felt more connected to him because I was like,
Whoa.
oh,
Oh,
that's hubby.
cute.
Yeah.
Comfy.
So comfy.
Yeah.
But I will tell you this. Jeremy was playful, kind of a little like sarcastic energy.
If this was the only thing I had seen of him, I'd be like front runner.
Yeah. I enjoyed watching him during this date a lot. One note for Jeremy is, you know, you're the funny guy. You guys joke together. You got a little more of a like, you know, a dry sense of humor. One note is that you say, is this where you kill me too many times? because you said it twice in one date. You go down an alley and you go, is this where you're going to kill me? And then the night portion, when they're going into like the museum, he's like, is this where you kill me? And I'm like, we got to find a new dad joke, Jeremy.
Let's work on we gotta
find a new, like the first time, funny. Second time in one day, too many times for that joke in one day. That's all. That was just my only note, you know? Yeah. But other than that, I loved that like when they were in the gum wall, he was like touching the gum and she's like, isn't that disgusting? He's like, nah. And he's kissing the fish. And he definitely is someone who, when the guys are around, is tighter. And when he's one-on-one with her, is looser. Way more loose.
I agree.
Which I like as a viewer because I feel like that shows that he also is comfortable around her. You know?
Appreciate that, yes.
But then they get into the night portion in the garden and glass area, which was stunning. And she's saying that she's like, I'm going to need more from him to take him to hometowns. She's like, I have the most fun with him. We laugh. We have a great time. But I need to like get past that with him. And then what followed, I feel like this conversation was the deepest, most real life conversation that we've seen on this show so far. Like, it wasn't just, I'm not saying everything's been platitudes, but it's not just like big overlapping statements of like, this is what I want. And you say, I want a family and I want da-da-da, or I want a ferocious love. I am looking for this. Like, not big sweeping statements that everybody can kind of agree with. It got
more specific.
It was more real life of where Jeremy was like, hey, I'm Jewish and I'm not expecting you to convert, but it's really important to me and my family. Is it something you would consider?
If we have kids,
it's important to me. And then Jenn in response is just like, I participate in Shabbat. I have friends back in Miami who are Jewish, and yes, 100%, but I'm Buddhist and it's important to my family. It's important to me. So like, what are your thoughts on, I want to raise my children like in a Buddhist home? And he was like, I wouldn't expect, I wouldn't ask it of you if I wouldn't be willing to then in myself say yes. And the conversation was very real. It was like, this is actually real life stuff that's going to happen after the show if you guys do get engaged, like real conversations. So I thought they had a great conversation, and I felt like they also, again, seemed very comfortable around each other having that conversation.
Agreed.
It wasn't tight. It wasn't awkward. They were playful, serious. It was like it
felt very natural.
Yeah. And I don't know. It kind of, it hit me out of left field a little bit too, where I was like, oh, dang.
Before this, I thought, there's no way he's getting to hometowns.
Well,
and then this just kind of was like, okay, what, man, she really likes him. And either they've been cutting the moments that show that, or he just kind of like did really, really well in the state and it kind of convinced her.
It's just wild because I don't know if we've ever seen this happen before, when someone gets a one-on-one date for the first time right before hometowns and gets a rose. They're always...
Usually they're like, hey, you're great, but like, we just didn't have time to get to that place.
It's always on the show, if someone hasn't gotten a one-on-one until hometowns, it's like that person is always sent home. And it's always the same reason. I really like you, haven't gotten to know you well enough.
Agreed.
I don't remember this happening before. So I was like, oh my God. She gives him a rose. And he's
personally though
going to hometowns.
I think because of everything that's gone on, I think she's not going to propose. She's not going to get engaged to anyone at the end. That's my guess now. It's like, dude, she cut Grant, who we thought that she maybe was like a major front runner, showed that she wasn't that close to him.
Yeah.
And Jeremy's now getting a hometown. Like, in my opinion, in any other season before this, a guy like Jeremy in the position that he was in would have not even sniffed the hometowns, because she would have had much deeper relationships.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. She wouldn't be going, I need to see if you can go to hometowns to see if we have any depth here. She would have already had depth at that level with other people, to not even let a guy who doesn't have a fighting chance, who has barely had any connection with her, to go to hometowns. That's where I'm feeling a little nervous right now, because it's kind of like, wait, the guy who was your like horn dog is gone, and Grant's gone. I'm going, who? I don't know. Like, she's into people, but
I gotta tell you this. Personally, I'm like, okay. Like Jonathan, don't feel wildly attached to him, but I like him.
Yeah. After
this date, I've gone back and forth with Jeremy, but after this date, I'm liking Jeremy.
Yeah.
I feel like I said, there's just a comfortability there that I enjoy between them. Marcus, I'm kind of neither here nor there about, but I don't feel like this is the place for him to like dive into the things he needs to process, and I just don't see it happening, and I don't care for Devin. So I'm a little bit like
that's kind of what I'm saying is I'm a
little bit like, I want Jenn to be happy, and she's an incredible person, and I do feel like watching this season, especially now in this moment that we're going to discuss about Sam going back to his hotel room, I feel like she has been so open to growth in this process. From the beginning to now, I feel like she's actively like processing things in her past, open to shifting and growing and changing and being more vulnerable. And then we see how she handles the Sam thing, all of that. I feel like part of me hopes that in the end, she maybe walks away, and this was like this really great moment for her to like process what she needs and what she's looking for. Because after this, Jenn's a fucking catch and a half. She's going to have a line, across the country waiting to date her. So it's like now she's going to, get out into the real world and have a whole new group of people who she's never had the opportunity to meet before, who are going to be like, oh my God, I want to take you out on a date. And maybe this process shows her more what she's looking for. Because to be honest, with the remaining 4, I'm not feeling like I necessarily see any of them as like long-term for Jenn. Obviously, I don't know opinion. Jenn. I don't know her personally, but just as like a viewer.
My opinion?
Yeah.
Most people come on this show and get caught up in the Stockholm syndrome out of it all.
Well, yeah, for sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So like you even talk to people who've been on the show and they're like, I went on thinking there's no way I'd fall in love, but like due to the environment, you kind of find yourself falling in love.
Mm-hmm. And then sometimes it works and sometimes
it works after it, sometimes it doesn't. What it does do is it kind of convinces you you're more into someone than you generally are. Mm-hmm. It kind of messes with your emotions and the lack of sleep and the travel and all that, and you kind of become a little bit more like maybe desperate and on edge, and then you kind of find yourself really falling for someone in real life maybe you even wouldn't have.
Yeah.
Jenn seems to be oddly immune to that.
Mm-hmm.
And you're almost seeing an actual situation where it's like, yeah, if you gave 25 guys a couple weeks, how often would you actually be engaged at the end of that?
Yeah.
And it almost feels like she's just kind of coming at it from like she's not getting affected by the environment and she's just going at it straight up.
The only thing that seems like it's affected her is kind of the draw with Sam. And other than that, it's like, yeah, I'm dating these guys.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so it's like she's very casual about this whole experience, even to the fact like when Grant leaves, she's not bawling and like,
True.
You know what I mean? Like generally in the past, we've seen like crazy tears on both sides. Like if one or two of the guys leaves, it's heaving. Nothing. And I think it's because that's what would happen in real life. And I think
she's like really dating these guys.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so I just think it's kind of like, that's kind of what I'm sensing right now is like her not doing anything at the end would not be shocking to me because of where I feel the connections are lacking.
Yeah. And with that being said,
they're kind of surface, they're not surface level, but they're kind of generalized. They're not like deep, you know?
With that being said, I agree with you. And I could see then, let's just say she does walk away with someone. I could see it being more like, we'll see what happens. Like maybe not an engagement, or even if it is, it's a little bit like, all right, let's see what happens with this.
Exactly.
She seems...
Let's go on our third date.
Yeah, she seems very much like a realist in that way, where it's like, okay, I really like you, I'm vibing with you, but like, hey, like let's see what happens.
She's not getting caught up in the whole thing.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's very true. It's interesting. Yeah, because I do want to talk about the exits when we get there, because I did find that interesting as well. Okay, but going back to the Sam of it all. So it's supposed to be the cocktail party coming up, but Jenn's like looking gorgeous, by the way. Love that dress. Jenn's like, okay, I'm going to talk to Sam before because we do have something there. And I'm like, it's just sexual chemistry. But she's like, we do have something there. And I need to like figure out what's going on with him. So then she goes to his hotel room and they sit down together, and he's like, I'm sorry for the date, but trying to walk, like you said before, the fine line of being vulnerable, protecting my heart. on the way to fall in love again, and she is like, I thought you were going to not double down on the that you're in love with me thing, and you were going to maybe be like, hey, sorry, it kind of came out. Kind of like how Sam N sat with her and was like, I'm sorry I said what I said, like, but I got caught up in my emotion. And the way that Jenn then handled the Sam N situation is she was like, totally understand. It did throw me off a little bit, but I hear you. And I think if Sam, current Sam, would have been like, it all kind of came tumbling out because I was nervous, she probably might have kept him in.
Yeah.
I think she would have been like, okay, I hear you.
Right.
Let's keep talking about it, but I get why. But the fact that he just kept doubling, like he just continued to double down, was absolutely wild behavior. And he's just, to me, love is selfless, blah, 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 blah. And she's just like, it all sounds good, but I don't believe you.
Yeah.
Like, I don't believe you. And at this point, she is simultaneously like, oh, he's like my exes.
Yeah.
And she's been feeling that way for weeks, and she keeps talking about it. And the thing about it that I loved, the reason I really loved watching this is that I'm like, you were watching her be like, I know what I've been feeling, but I have my past tendencies, and I'm going to fucking conquer those. And she said that even later. She's like, even maybe months ago, I wouldn't have been able to do this. And I've had growth where I can send him home. But while this is happening, I'm sitting here going, Sam just wants a free plane ride home. I'm like, Sam was planning on fucking leaving probably at some point dramatically. Whether it be at hometowns, he gets his free plane ride home, or after fantasy suites. And then fingers crossed that he's the next Bachelor. That's his plan. Yeah. Like, let's be real here. 100%. That was the energy that it was giving. It's like, don't let me go yet. For me to become the next Bachelor, I need to go a little bit farther and then leave on my own accord, not because you are catching me in my bullshit. I have to be the one in power of the situation.
Gotta be honest with you, great on the sand though. I mean, he's built for the sand. He's built for the sand.
It's like
we need a toxic king on the sand. You know what I mean?
Toxic king. I cannot stand him, but like, I also was like,
he's great. I mean, it's great TV.
I wanted for Jen's sake for her to get rid of him, but also if she wouldn't have, I would have been like, I'm okay with it because there's more entertainment.
Yes.
I'm happy for her, what she did. But I was also like, well, if you say so another way.
Because she's like, I'm usually good at reading people, but like I missed this one. It's like, yeah.
I guess I just kind of wanted to see his family.
Yeah, that would have been
these
sweet.
These people who are apparently just like online, like defending him like keyboard warriors. I'm a little bit like involved. I'm a little bit like, I kind of wanted to see his family.
Yeah.
So that's a bummer.
Yeah.
But so she walks away, she like has to keep thinking about it, comes back. By the way, Grant's the only one who gets it in this situation.
Yeah.
I want to say. The other guys are all sitting around going, oh, she came in. The way she came in, with that energy, that means he's for sure going home. And Grant was like, no. The fact that she came in shows me she does really like him.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, our perceptive king, our Bachelor.
Yeah.
But she cuts him off. She comes back in, cuts him off. She's like, you remind me of past relationships, and I've closed that part of my life, and I'm done. And she just pops up, and there was one moment she hugs him, and I'm like, get out now, get out now, get out now, get out now. Because there was a split second where when she hugged him,
maybe she'll be...
It was like, she said no, and then because they've got that like physical chemistry, she hugged him, and I could see it getting drawn back. I'm like, run. And she bolted out without saying a word. And I was like, yes, girl, you absolutely did it. And she even said, and then in the ITMs where she was like, I'm so upset at myself for not picking up on that. But but the thing is, Jenn, you did. And that's like, that's where you got to like focus on your growth. You did pick up on it. And you just had to, there was just a little bit of time to keep processing it. This whole thing is such a wild journey, so many things are going on. You did pick up on it and you got rid of them, and bravo. One more side note on his ITM.
Yeah, I was waiting for this. This is my favorite.
Go ahead.
The way he describes her at the end?
Yeah.
Yes, iconic moment. Cheers to Sam for this, because it was just the most unhinged.
How dare you cheers him?
No, but it was just
horrific moment.
iconic. To tell someone you love them
Yes. And also say, the reason I fell for you is that your energy drew me in. He specifically said your energy drew me in.
At the radio station, he says that she is fire and full of passion. Okay. And then as he's leaving in his ITMs, he goes, to be honest with you, the energy that she was bringing was dull.
What do you have to say about that, Sam's fam?
That's like when you go, that's like when a guy's at a bar and a girl turns him down and he goes, well, you know what I mean? It's like that is that energy where it's like, I was turned down.
Yeah, the guys in the dating apps. Well, you're fucking ugly anyway.
Yeah, and you're like, well, you hit on me.
You slid into mine, honey bunny.
So that's all that was him just kind of going, what can I jab? But the thing is, all he could say was she's dull because he doesn't know anything about her. So he could have come up with something better to come after, but he doesn't know anything. You fucking ate with that. You ate with that. So he doesn't even know enough about her to, insult her. So he just has to say dull, which is antithesis of what he's been saying this whole. It was an iconic, horrible thing.
Saying her energy is dull is absolutely bananas.
It's a wild thing to say after you said you loved them.
It's a wild thing to say after you specifically focused on that as the one thing you used to describe.
All you talked about was how great her energy was.
Her energy drew you in. So you're saying you love dull energy.
Yeah.
I mean, like, what the fuck are you saying, Sam?
Also, it's like, you could have said so many different things. You could have said something like, to be honest with you, like our connection really wasn't there. I was forcing it. You could have said,
well, that
to be honest with you.
Or you could have said, I'm heartbroken and like had
I'm saying if you're trying to like if you're trying to be like, if you're trying to like take the power back and be like a bad person. I'm more like, you could have done a better job being a bad person. You're so bad at it. You're bad at being a bad person.
Yeah, because even the exit when he was
dull
just like,
is a weird way to insult her.
He goes, well, her energy was very dull, and like I just stand 10 toes down and what I want, and I'm going to keep the main thing. And you're like, what did you just say?
What does that mean?
What is
10 toes down
on what?
Are you surfing? Like hang 10?
So are you saying you're keeping your 10 toes down on the fact that you're in love with her, but you're saying her energy is dull, and then you're going to keep the main thing? Like what? Literally,
I mean, it's incredible.
What are you talking about?
I love someone who cannot string together a sentence like that.
Unbelievable. I mean, truly top notch. Well, he's gone. Okay. And then we have the rose ceremony. Obviously, Marcus and Jeremy already have roses. The first rose is given to Devin, and the second rose and final rose is given to Jonathan. And Grant and Spencer are sent home. I'm shouting at my television. Jenn does walk him out. Okay. But it is like you said, it's brief, it's a quick huggy. Yeah. And then it's like bye.
He seems to be much more distraught.
What we saw last week's preview was him pacing around going like, what I told her that I was falling in love with her.
Yeah.
So they took that out of this episode. And he was like crying upset. And it was in that same suit. So
there was clearly more going on.
He must have left and been like distraught and like pacing. And like I told her, I don't know. Huh. Maybe because they were going to announce him as Bachelor. Maybe they wanted it to be like a clean exit. Didn't want to make it look
like he cared that much.
So or like maybe he was like, maybe he was feeling frustrated or whatever, and they wanted it to, I mean, but to me, I'm like, show us our kings. Like he really cared about her. Like he's the guy that I was like, I'm hook, line, and sinker. Yes, he really, you saw him fall for her. Yeah. Okay, I'm in. Let us see him grieve. Yeah. Okay, but he left. But she did not even walk Spencer out, which I was just like, did the producers say you can't walk him out? Because this season so far, I think Grant's been the only walkout. Yeah. And for Spencer to see Grant get walked out and then Spencer not get walked out, he must have gotten walked out and then we just saw her in the window or something because that would be so random. But what we did see is that producers handed Spencer a telephone, a cellular phone, and they continue his golden retriever energy by giving him a cellular phone to call his mother.
No, the mama.
He called her mama?
Yeah.
He said, mama, and she goes, hey, baby. And he's just like, mama, He's like, she did it. And you know what, though? Listen.
And she goes, oh, my baby.
And you know what? Listen, it was such golden retriever energy, but I cannot lie to you. The way in which he described the situation to his mama, I thought was really sweet. He did not.
I want to find my purse.
But he didn't say. Like, oh my God, you know, I don't know why she didn't, like, he wasn't upset. He was like, he literally said on the phone, he's like, I'm really happy for her that she's looking for, you know, that she's going to be with the person.
Bad about
No,
it.
but I'm just saying, I thought it was sweet the way that he even went about
on your
explaining.
own, for sure. Maybe in the quietness of your own home.
You know, it definitely, I mean, it was giving top tier mama's boy.
I will say, a lot of mama's boys.
Yeah.
Everyone's talking about mama. Everyone, my mom.
Yeah, my mom.
I'm looking for a woman like my mom, which will be interesting going into hometowns.
Wow, Evan, great point.
Because that means Jen's going to have to deal with some mamas.
You know, it's true. Actually, a lot of, and I think a lot of the deep mother love too is, because we hear a lot of the guys had like rough childhoods and had single moms who were Devin said,
it'll be interesting
like
to see what
Devin
kind of
said, my
protective
mountain.
mothers. Yes.
So definitely there's
Devin
a chance.
said that. Jeremy said that.
There were a few.
His mom's super close and has an opinion on who he dates sometimes.
Yeah. There were a bunch.
I mean, multiple.
I can't now
I
even
can't name
put
them
it
all,
together.
but definitely multiple. So it'll be interesting to see when they all come home.
Jonathan,
yes.
Single mom, I think.
Yes. So mama bears. There's mama bears out there.
Season of the moms.
Yeah.
That's the next title of the next episode. Season of the moms.
I'm hoping for like a real mom that's like, who the hell are you? Watch Jenn have to fight.
Oh my God! Speaking of moms, can I like reveal this tea moment before we wrap this up?
This is awesome.
I mean, I saved it for the very end of the episode. I'm like, maybe we have like 5 listeners left right now. Everyone else is tuned out 2 hours in. But Joan's Golden Bachelorette season is starting very soon. And Evan, actually, before we even started recording, I saw that they just dropped the men. For Joan's season.
Gosh.
I cannot wait for that cast bio, by the way.
It's
These 60, 70-year-old men, I cannot wait to do these cast bio episodes. But if all goes according to plan, my mother, who has never been on this podcast before, said that she would like to come on for the premiere episode of Joan's Golden Bachelorette season as our guest. And I'm like, my mom, Sylvia, is our Golden Bachelorette because she is like single, ready to mingle. Yes. And I think her and Joan might even be like the exact same age.
Yes.
So she's like ready to come in and talk about premiere night with these men. So shout out Sylvia in the comments.
She's coming on.
She's coming
on. It's going to be a
fun
fun episode.
I'm going to give her opinions. That's in a couple weeks. I believe it starts like mid-September. And also these episodes are going to be airing Wednesday night. So I think our new episode schedule will be like Fridays. For the Bachelor episodes, for the weekly episodes. But anywho, I just wanted to drop that tea.
Epic.
Because Sylvia was like, I want to come on the premiere episode with you guys. I'm like, okay, Mom.
Yeah, we didn't even consider it because we thought she would never want to.
Our own Golden Bachelorette. I'm like, oh my God, if Joan gets rid of a couple good guys the first night.
Reach out.
I'm like, maybe like I'll slide into the DMs for Sylv.
Love that idea.
You know?
Love that idea.
I just,
it's gonna be fun.
You know, I'm looking for another dad.
Looking for stepdad.
Stepdad applications.
Yeah, let's
go. But anywho, we see the previews for next week and it looks dramatic. And like you said, season of the moms.
Season of the moms.
I'm very excited. And yeah, I can't believe it's hometowns next week. Then we got maybe Men Tell All and then Fantasy Suites. I don't know. We'll see what the schedule is. Still don't know. But
excited.
Can't wait. And then it seems like we'll jump right into the Golden Bachelorette after that. Maybe a week of cast bios and then Golden Bachelorette. So we got a lot popping. But we love you all.
Love you guys.
And we will see you next week. And also, oh my goodness, if you didn't tune into our episode, we ended up dropping it on Sunday with Katie and Jeff.
Yes.
Katie Thurston and Jeff Arcuri, the gorgeous couple. We had so much fun. Like that episode.
So much
we
fun.
had a great time.
Great time.
So if you haven't checked it out, you got to check it out. They're so amazing together. I've gotten so many messages from people being like, they are so cute together. I can't handle it. I'm like, I know. It's insane how cute they are together. Also, at the end of the episode, tea about the future of their relationship and what I know and Katie doesn't, which is fun. But tea.
Yes.
Tea.
It's a great episode.
It's a great
really,
episode.
really fun.
He's so funny.
He's
killing me the entire
awesome.
time. Of course, Katie is always hilarious,
Yes.
but the two of them together. Anywho, love you all. Check that episode out, and we'll see you next week.
Mwah.
Bye.
Bye.